All right, so in this one, we're going to get even closer to making our share page look like the Swift for Entrepreneurs share page. What we're going to be doing is adding little things like this, these buttons. We're not going to add the functionality for the buttons yet. This styling right here, how there's links by itself. And then also we're going to start off at least the layout and the look of these parts right here. We probably won't get into the function of it quite yet, but we will get to the layout and look of it. All right, so without further ado, what we're going to be looking at is, first off, is wells. So if you go to getbootstrap.com/components, this is a well. And it's basically just pre-padded for us, and it's kind of nice. It works out kind of well. The coloring's a little off, so we will need to change the background color. But we're going to put that right here. So we can just copy this, or I could go into my share page, so on share.html. All I want to do is add in, I'm going to get rid of this button here that we had. We don't need that on our share page. We just need a well. So I'm also going to get rid of the paragraph text and just do div class equals to well. And within here, we are going to be using that reference URL. So ref URL, I'm going to just cut it and paste it up here. Save it. Now, if we go to launch with code, we now see that that well is coming through. The nice thing is it's actually white. So within the Jumbotron, it will actually change it to being white, which is pretty cool. So if we copied that well and I put it down here, do a refresh, it changes the color. So that's a little nice. That actually well color might be the same color as that. So let's just make sure that it's white, because those colors actually look like they are the same. So we'll just change the background color to FFF many times. So all I did there was I went in and did inspect element, and I looked for the background color specifically. We don't need to worry about the border colors or anything like that, just the background color, so I can kind of see, any other color I'd want to change it to. Now you could change it to something that stands out more, but realistically, I just want the link to stand out more. I will limit the amount of text that's here, just like what we did here, but I want to make sure that that link is nice, clear, and easy to follow. So that thus having the background being white. And to make that change, all we do is style equals to background color of white. Now, of course, we don't have to do inline style sheets. We could reference the well class like we've seen before. Like with these, we could do well, so .well to get the well class, and then background color here of white. We could do that, but that's going to change all of our background colors to white, right? So we don't necessarily want to do that, override all the settings. We might just want to override one of them, and thus I just leave it on it as an inline thing right here, because it's not really something I'm going to change a whole lot. And realistically, any CSS designer or yourself, you should be able to quickly find where that design is coming from. So if I click on it, this is the best way to reference it, is by inspecting the element and seeing the different styles that are rendering through, so you would be able to change them later. All right, so now that we've that, it's definitely getting a lot closer, right? So let's actually change this to being the exact same code as invite friends and earn rewards. So in the hello world, I'm going to do invite friends and earn rewards. Now, the ampersand by itself is not actually HTML correct. It probably will render, but the ampersand is just amp, and using an ampersand and then AMP and a semicolon will actually render the ampersand. So there you go, just like that. And then what we want to do also is just align all of this text right in the middle, just like what we see here. And I'm going to copy this text that I have. You can put whatever you want here, but I'm just going to put this text, share your unique below and earn rewards from launchwithcode.com. All right, so then let's actually align everything. So I'll do style equals to text align center. and I'm putting it just in this column, or the column medium 6, so it only affects this. It doesn't necessarily affect that. So I refresh, and now it's nice and aligned for me. So that's good. But now I want to get this. I want that little icon. And then I also want these social sharing icons. So there's a cool library called FontAwesome. This is all CSS. And it gives us all these little icons. So if we go on here, we can see all these cool little icons that just make it a little bit easier on us for when we want to do something like our share button. So, or if you had something like fork, or settings for these cogs, and there's all types of ones on here. So what I'm going to actually use is the share one. So if I just type out share, it gives me a few different options. So I just did Command F or Control F if you're on a Windows, Command F on Mac, and just typed out share, and it gives me these different options. So I click on one, and it shows me what it's going to look like, and then it even gives me the code right here, and the rendered code right above it. And this is all ready to be used in Bootstrap. It's the site, I believe, is completely in Bootstrap itself, because it definitely looks like it in the first place. So we can actually use this. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this right here. And right above the H1, I'm going to paste it in and put a break tag. Actually, that break tag is not necessary. And then I'm going to refresh in here. Nothing comes up. Well, that's because we need to actually add FontAwesome into our site. So we want to get the FontAwesome CDN. And if I click on this, it's going to take me right into the FontAwesome's where it is for their CDN. So we don't have to actually put it on our server. I'm going to copy everything from the / on, and now go into my base. And after the Jumbotron, I'm just going to do link href equals to, I can paste that whole thing in, and then real equals to style sheet, because it is technically a style sheet, as you see here with .css at the end. And this / might not work on your local computer, so you could just do HTTPS, and that should allow it to actually come through. Actually, just in case, I'm just going to keep the S off of it. And then now if I do a refresh, I see there's a tiny, tiny little icon there. So there's a few ways that we can actually change the size of it. Going back into share, I can actually put this inside of the H1 tag, and it's going to change the size, which is one way to do it. Another way to do it is keep it out here and just do FA-5x. And that will make the size of whatever. So you could even do 2x, and it'll be a little bit smaller, and so on and so forth. So you can play around with that. I definitely recommend that you do. And also all the other components in FontAwesome. So I'm going to go back to FontAwesome. So in icons, all kinds of icons, and they add some all the time. It's really actually pretty cool, and it's all free, and you can use it just as we are right here. I definitely recommend checking out this project and using it as much as possible. All right, so now I'm going to use a Facebook one. So I'm just going to type out Facebook. And I'm going to use Facebook Square, so FA-Facebook Square. This is the one I want to use, just like here. So research shows that using the icons that at least closely resemble the actual icons that the services themselves put out, so like the Facebook one right here, if you see Facebook, that looks almost identical. Now it's a little bit different because it's rounded and stuff like that, but like I said, research shows that these actually are more effective at being used than doing something that's like black and white, or even something that's just the F like this. Like that might be a little confusing, where using the right color as well as the rounded square will, or at least the square, will actually help convert things for you. So since we have that, we can use this one. And I'm going to put it underneath our well here. So I'm going to do a couple breaks after the well and paste in the Facebook Square. I'm going to copy and paste it a couple times, 5 times. And then I'm just going to change each one. I'm just going to make a guess here. I believe these are how it is. LinkedIn, Twitter, LinkedIn, Reddit, and Google Plus. Those are totally guesses. They might be wrong. So if I refresh here, I've got everything except for Google Plus. So let's just try even just Google. Oops, and nope. So going back in here, I'm just going to do a quick search and look for Google Plus, and it's Google Dash Plus there. So Google Dash Plus. And realistically, I just guessed on these. Like, I mean, when I did it before, I probably researched it or did the search, but they're very logical in a lot of things that they do. So thinking like, oh, well, it's probably logical that Twitter would be the next one. Google Plus was the only one that might have been a little bit hard to decipher, as it was. All right, if we refresh, now we see these little icons. They're tiny, so let's make them a little bigger. I'm gonna do 4x, see if that's too big. Hopefully it's not. Paste those through. Save it. Oops. FA-4x, of course. Because they do FA for FontAwesome. Because 4x might actually conflict with other code or other CSS that you might have. So they try to make the classes that they have to be unique to them, which makes it a little bit easier. All right, so that looks close to what I've got. It seems to be that it is. So if I inspect the element here, let's just take a look. And yes, it is 4x. That's exactly what I did. And also, if you see here, I have a style color for each one. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I already did the research on these colors. You can double check it if you'd like, but these are the colors, the official colors for each service. So for Facebook, let's go ahead and add that one and do style color equals to that. So notice it's color, because actually what these I tags are being rendered, they're just like text, so they're going to render just like text. So just keep that in mind when you're actually doing it. It comes out like text, so you can use color just like that. All right, so now I'm just going to go through on each one and go ahead and do the exact same thing. So style equals to color just like that. And if I save it and do a refresh in here, I start to see that these colors are coming through. Perfect. So I'm actually going to get rid of one of these breaks and write share, and then put a break after share. Might not need that top break there, because it looks like the well itself has some margin around it, so we don't need those extra breaks, just to make it a little bit cleaner. All right, so I'm going to copy this style a couple more times and just paste these down here, so then I can just change the color itself as opposed to writing the style constantly. So if I inspect the element and paste these through, and Google Plus being the last one. Do a little refresh in here. There we go. Okay, cool. So you could, again, Google the official hex color. So hex color of Facebook logo. And you could search for it. So if you look on here, perhaps this isn't perfect. So this one says 3B5998. So let's copy that and let's go back in here, and we see 3B5998. And this service will show different colors. And again, it might not be 100% true, but it seems to be. I mean, you've got almost 60,000 views and quite a few people love this. So I believe that probably accurate that is the actual color for Facebook. So you can go through and kind of find all the other ones as well. All right, so there's that. We now are really close to this other page, right? So if we look at it, as far as the way the share looks, it's right there, right? I mean, the top part isn't perfect. It's not going to be exact, but it will be very similar. And the only reason it's not exact, because I know how I did this one. I put that first class into the H1, and then I added a break. And that's the difference between those two. All right, cool. So now that we have that, The next part we would need to do is these right here. I'm not going to worry about this yet. I'm just going to add in these parts. So those are progress bars is what we see here. So let's just grab this code right here on getbootstrap.com components #progress, and it'll take you down. So we can just grab a progress bar. In fact, I'm going to grab the progress bar with a label on it, and you can scroll down, and it even has low percentages just like this. So this might be, a good idea to check out at some point too. And then we have different colors as well, and that just has to do with the classes that they will be using, which we will get into when it is necessary. All right, so let's go ahead and copy this with label one. And down here, I'm going to get below well and all this stuff. We will eventually delete it, but I'm going to do a div class of row in the div. And let's paste that in first and just see what happens. So if I refresh, I see that's at 60%, right? So that looks roughly right, 60%. And the style is how it's happening. So if I did 100%, changed it, it actually goes 100%. Now the value is the actual text that's inside of it, and that's how that would change. So it is, right, so that's how you can change the text in there. Cool, so that's how we would do that. And with the progress bar, it's pretty nice because it actually changes based on the size of the container that it's in. So if we did div class column small, and I'm going to do 4, so I can have, or actually, sorry, column small 3, so I can have 4 across. So for 4 different rows, and I'm just going to tab everything in a little bit just so we can make sure that we're doing this right. Just a little bit cleaner if I tab it in so I can see which is closing and which is opening. All right, so now if I refresh it, there it is. All right, so now we have 100% there. So I'm going to just take off it is, and you can also add the value now being 100 as well. All right, so now that we have that, we can do it a few more times. So let's just go ahead and copy this, paste it 4 times total. So now we have the 100% all the way across, right? So there's that, starting to get there, right? And then we can have a title text for it. So let's do H3, close off H3, and we'll say like 5 joined, and then I'm just going to copy this down and make sure it's inside of the column small 3 all the way down, and then add some numbers here, and then do 25, 15. These are arbitrary numbers. These are arbitrary numbers, so you can choose however many you want joined, but I've already done some of the math for it, so I'm using 5, 15, 25, and 50. Basically, what I wanted to do was have the first two kind of being relatively achievable, and then the next 2 rewards being a little challenging. I mean, it is easy in some sense, but then in another sense, it's also not. I mean, getting 25 of your friends just to sign up emails sometimes can be a hassle. So that being said, if somebody's really excited and gets their friends really excited, then 25 should be reasonable. 50 should be reasonable even at that point. And if your product or service is really exciting, then 50 might be really small. So like if you're going to take on the cell phone companies or something and you have the coolest thing ever that's going to be $10 a month, then you might want to have this being 100 friends joined or something like that. So that's going to be all relative, of course. Now that we have these, it's fairly straightforward. We can just, add some lines and then some list stuff, and that's going to kind of do it for us. I mean, we can, you could copy this method that I did. I mean, I have these little icons that I made that are just the size that they are. I didn't change the size at all. I do have it as, the class is even incorrect, image responsive, but it's 72 by 72. So if I get rid of this class, it's still going to say 72. So I made icons specifically for that, so that's kind of up to you. And then below that is just a list of things that it includes. So below here, let's go ahead and actually do this stuff. So H3, and, or actually, sorry, H4, not H3. And I'll just say rewards include, and then you just write a list element out here. So UL being unordered list, and you could say reward 1 and reward 2. And if we look into our launch with code, we see that rewards include. So maybe we want to even make that a little bit smaller than H4 and have the rewards listed out like that. Okay, so we tab this stuff in, and then above that, let's put an HR tag as well as below it, so we can see that. Okay, cool. And then above that, we kind of have free reign to do whatever we want. So I'm just going to do an H4 and just give it a name, just like what I did here, which was this. So some type of name or for the reward. And I'll just call it reward name. And then below that, just some paragraph text about it. Right, so, or actually, excuse me, no paragraph text, but like if you wanted to, you could put a paragraph text, or you could just have an image. So in my case, I'm going to add the image source equaling to, I'm going to copy these images, as I think I will not ever remove them. So I'm going to copy that image, and then copy this one. This one might not. This one's not actually not going to work because it requires a signature. So I'm going to just keep those two images. It's going to be the same. And I've got the reward name, couple images there, and there we go. So 25 joined. That's essentially what it's going to look like. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this whole thing here and put it right underneath the 15 joined, 5 joined, and then down to the 50 joined. And now we have all the different rewards that are related to the number that is there. And the actual like awarding them or giving them their award, it will be handled later. Like you would handle it afterwards, because you would know how many have actually joined. And depending on what your rewards are, there's a variety of ways that you could actually go through with actually giving them rewards. So we're not going to actually get into that part of this, but you can at least track to see how many rewards are coming through and all that, and you'll know their email address and all that. So that would be how you would actually give them their rewards. And then the last thing is I want to have all of this stuff aligned in the center, just like what we have here, right? So if you see, this whole section's lined in the center. And I did that just because as far as its visibility and reading it, it's just nice and clear and easy to do. So if we change the size of the page there, you can actually see all of it and just kind of scroll through it if you're on a mobile device or whatnot. So now inside of the container, I'm just going to make the entire container have the style of text align center. And we refresh in here, and there we go. So we ran into our first issue, which would be this right here. So probably what I did here was this one division area I aligned left, and that's exactly what I did. So I put the entire thing inside of a span, and I aligned it left. So we can do that exact thing and put it span style equals to text align left and important. Just so it looks a little bit cleaner. So if I refresh, as you notice, that looks a little bit better than having the dots way over here. And so we can once again copy this entire span and just replace our other span. Let's make sure that we are going in between the two HR tags there, and just go down again through the HR tags and again through the HR tags. Okay, and then we refresh, and there we go. So now our rewards are looking pretty good. There might be some still that we need to clean up a little bit, but overall I think it's looking pretty solid as far as the way the design is. And I mean, maybe we want to put a little bit of padding so this isn't like right on the edge like that. So that's something we can worry about later. And then adding the text that's above it and below it. And that would handle most of the design of it. Now, it's not finished, the functionality and stuff's not finished, but at least the look of it is getting there, right? We might also want to change the color of the navigation bar to fit with our project, so that's something we still want to do, as well as making these links actually work, as well as having these change dynamically with the number of people that have actually joined. And I'm going to leave that number of joined 7 being up, so scroll up a little bit and say joined number is, and then I'm going to get rid of the well here, as well as the reference ID, because we no longer need those things. So we have our join number of 7, and these percentages should adjust according to what the actual number is. And then we would be able to also tell them, give them kind of a status on where they're at, which is this right here. So that's something we still need to do, and we will start to do that one soon. All right, see you in the next one.